How does someone go from being a nobody to a full-blown Giga Chad?
He's a bit of an alpha male.
As Kanye West famously said, step 1 to becoming a Chad. Bench press the sun to assert dominance over the solar system. Step 2, marry oxygen so every breath she takes is because of you. But for Soma, our protagonist, it's neither of these. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see exactly how Soma unlocked his inner Chad and turned his life around in the most unexpected way. At the start of this story, his life is a complete mess, and the reason is crystal clear. His girlfriend, Hanabi. She's the walking definition of toxic, constantly belittling and controlling him. Things get so bad that Soma literally ends up in the hospital from all the stress she puts him through. You'd think this would be a wake-up call for Hanabi. Wrong. Instead, Hanabi visits him in the hospital, not to check on him, but to kick him while he's down. She looks him dead in the eye and calls him weak, pathetic, and useless. And just when you think she couldn't possibly sink any lower, she does. Hanabi has the audacity to tell Soma that she's doing him a favor by not breaking up with him. Here's where things take a turn. Soma, who's been putting up with her crap for years, finally snaps. He does the one thing she never expected. He dumps her. Shocking, right? Especially since they've known each other since they were kids. But here's the thing. Hanabi has been a nightmare since day one. When they were kids, Hanabi bullied Soma constantly. Every single day in elementary school, she'd find ways to tear him down, destroy his confidence, and make him feel small. Soma thought she'd grow out of it, but nope, she only got worse. By the time they reached middle school, she started manipulating him emotionally, eventually coercing him into becoming her boyfriend. But even after they started dating, her behavior didn't change. Fast forward to high school, and she's still treating him like dirt. Now, let's talk about the incident that landed Soma in the hospital. It started when Hanabi texted him one evening, demanding he come pick her up from a cafe. Soma wanted to say no. He really did, but he knew she'd make his life miserable if he refused. So, he reluctantly agreed, saying he'd be there in 5 minutes. When Soma arrived, Hanabi was sitting inside with her friends, enjoying some ice cream. Instead of coming out, she told him to wait. Soma, being the pushover he was back then, stood outside in the rain, umbrella in hand, waiting for her. And he waited and waited for an entire hour. Finally, Hanabi and her friends came out of the cafe, laughing hysterically. Why? Because they'd been betting on how long Soma would wait. Hanabi, thrilled to have won her bet, mocked him for being such a pushover, smiling smugly as she told him he'd do anything she asked. Little did she know, this was the last straw for Soma. That night changed everything. At first, Hanabi couldn't believe it. She tried to laugh it off, saying he couldn't be serious. In her mind, Soma was such a loser that he couldn't survive without her. But this time, Soma didn't back down. Instead, he stayed firm, even as she insulted him. Taking a deep breath, Soma walked to the door, opened it, and told her their relationship was over. Then, he pushed her out of the room and slammed the door shut. Hanabi, of course, didn't take it well. She pounded on the door, yelling that he should be the one apologizing to her. All the noise drew the attention of a nearby nurse, and as soon as she showed up, Hanabi quickly pretended to be sorry and left the hospital. But that wasn't the end of it. The second she got home, Hanabi started blowing up Soma's phone with non-stop calls and messages. She filled his inbox with complaints, saying he was ungrateful and accusing him of ruining everything she'd done for him. But this time, Soma didn't fall for it. He expected her to act this way, so he calmly blocked her number. For the first time in years, his phone went silent. As Soma sat by the window and looked at his reflection, something clicked. He noticed his long, messy hair, the hair Hanabi had always forced him to keep. She'd made him feel so small and insecure that he didn't even try to change it. But not anymore. Soma decided it was time to take control of his life. The day he left the hospital, Soma went straight to the barber shop. There, he chopped off the past, along with his long hair, and walked out with a fresh, clean haircut. It wasn't just a new hairstyle, it was a symbol of his freedom from Hanabi and their toxic 13-year relationship. The next day at school, Soma's transformation was impossible to ignore. As he walked through the halls, whispers spread like wildfire. Girls were giggling, blushing, and sneaking glances at him. Some even started drooling over how good he looked. A sudden rise in humidity made Soma wonder if the school's air conditioning had stopped working. His classmate Haruta, who happened to know a thing or two about weather, laughed and explained that it wasn't the AC. The humidity, Haruta said, was actually caused by Soma's insane new looks. Even the classroom's humidifiers seemed to go haywire whenever Soma's name came up. At first, many students thought he was a new transfer because he looked so different. Haruta teased him, saying he looked way better now, and the rest of the class cheered in agreement. Soma smiled shyly, realizing that people really do treat you differently when you start taking care of yourself. Lesson 1, folks. Note it down. Always get a good haircut. By recess, Soma had attracted a whole crowd of admirers, both girls and boys. His charm was so overwhelming that even some of the guys started questioning their feelings. Amid all the attention, Soma spotted someone familiar in the crowd, Hanabi. Her face was twisted with jealousy and anger as she watched Soma's glow-up steal the spotlight. Soma didn't say anything to her. He didn't have to. His actions spoke louder than words. He confidently walks away, leaving her stunned. But before he can get far, she steps in front of him, trying to stop him. Right then, Haruta, Soma's classmate, jumps into the situation, asking Soma if he knows Hanabi. It's the perfect setup. Soma doesn't miss a beat, replying with a cool and casual, "Never seen her before walking past Hanabi without a second glance. Back in the classroom, Soma notices one of his classmates is completely absorbed in a book. Suddenly, the wind of opportunity blows through the open window, and her bookmark flutters to the ground. Being the gentleman he is now, Soma picks it up and hands it to her. She thanks him, but her surprise is clear when he actually talks to her. She's shocked to hear him speak, remarking that this is the first time they've ever had a conversation. Soma, reflecting on his past, realizes that this is yet another thing Hanabi had taken from him. She had crushed his confidence so much over the years that he didn't feel worthy of talking to anyone else. He apologizes for never speaking to her before, and the girl blushes, unable to find the right words. Finally, they exchange names. She introduces herself as Yukishiro Fumi and comments on how much attention Soma has been getting since his new haircut. Soma jokes, saying he feels like a rare animal on display. While it might not seem like a hilarious joke, Fumi bursts into laughter. Why? Because when you're a good-looking guy, even the simplest jokes seem funnier. Then Fumi opens up, admitting that she's always wanted to talk to him. She's admired how he takes care of the school's flowers and thinks he's a genuinely kind person. She even mentions that he's going to be very popular now with his new look. But Fumi isn't like the others. She makes it clear that she noticed Soma long before he became Giga Chad. Unlike the others, she admired him for who he was, not just how he looks now. After an exhausting day, Soma finally heads home, only to find Hanabi waiting outside his house. She's been standing there for 2 hours, even though she used to give Soma strict rules about how long he should wait for her. Soma, now brimming with confidence, tries to walk past her, but Hanabi blocks his path and starts ranting about how he's been acting. Soma stays calm, telling her again that they're strangers now. Hanabi, shocked, asks if he really means it. Without a second of hesitation, Soma confirms that he does. Not ready to give up, Hanabi tries her usual manipulation tactics, saying he can't survive without her, and offering to save him if he just apologizes. But Soma doesn't fall for it. With a blank expression, he tells her he's even more certain now that he doesn't need her in his life. Frustrated and out of options, Hanabi finally storms off, clearly angry. Over the next few days, Soma doesn't hear from her again. He sees her at school a couple of times, lurking in the background, but he doesn't pay her any attention. Then one morning, on his way to school, Hanabi suddenly appears in front of him. This time, she's all smiles and seems unusually cheerful. Standing beside her is her new boyfriend, Kiraya, the captain of the baseball team. The two are openly affectionate, showing off their relationship wherever they go. At first, Soma wonders if running into them was just bad luck, but he quickly realizes it's no accident. Hanabi and Kiraya seem to pop up wherever he is, clearly trying to get a reaction out of him, but Soma sees through her plan and refuses to give her the satisfaction. The next day during gym class, there's a relay race. This isn't just a regular class activity. This race decides which 2 students will represent their class in the upcoming school sports day. The stakes are high, and everyone is giving it their all, including Soma. Everyone in Soma's class is fired up for the relay race because, according to their gym teacher, speed directly decides your popularity in high school. At this point, we're hit with another flashback. This time, we see little Soma back in kindergarten. He once won a running competition, finishing first and earning all the attention. Of course, little Hanabi couldn't handle him being in the spotlight. She forbade him from ever running at full speed again, telling him he didn't deserve the attention. Ever since then, Soma has been holding himself back. But now, things are different. Soma decides to give it his all. When the race starts, he absolutely destroys the competition. Despite his underdeveloped legs from years of avoiding running, he practically sets a new state record. The boys in the class can't contain their excitement. They cheer for Soma like he's their hero and start hugging each other in celebration. Soma, now nicknamed Giga Chad, is officially the fastest guy in the school. In class, Fumi notices the buzz around Soma. With a small sigh, She admits she wishes she could be as athletic as him. She asks him for advice on how to improve her skills. Soma scratches his head because, honestly, he has no idea. All he did was get a haircut and dump his toxic ex-girlfriend. But before they can talk more, Chiaki, the guy who came second in the race, walks into the room with a serious look on his face. Chiaki marches up to Soma and asks, "How far are you willing to go for victory? Would you give up your leg, your eye? Would you sacrifice it all to win on sports day?" Soma is caught off guard and doesn't know how to answer. Chiaki, clearly disappointed, sighs but acknowledges Soma's insane talent. Chiaki explains that he's been training for years to be the fastest, but Soma beat him without even trying. Chiaki can't help but admire Soma's raw ability. Then Chiaki drops the bombshell. Soma has to be their anchor for the relay race on sports day. Why? Because the anchor for the rival class is none other than Karaya, Hanabi's new boyfriend. Chiaki knows the only way to beat him is with Soma leading the charge. He begs Soma to dedicate the next 2 weeks to hardcore training, saying there's nothing more important than sports day. Soma agrees, but on one condition: Chiaki has to help Fumi improve her running too. And so, with Hanabi keeping a close eye on them, the trio throws themselves into tough training. From sunrise to sunset, they give it their all, barely stopping to catch their breath. The next day, they work even harder, knowing that nothing matters more than sports day. Still, the alpha male sneaks in a few moments to flirt with Fumi whenever he gets the chance. Hanabi, of course, can't stand seeing Soma having fun without her. She confronts him during one of his sessions, scolding him for breaking her rule about running. To make things worse, she smugly tells him that Karaya is going to crush him in the race. Karaya, standing by her side, leans in and apologizes in advance for the humiliation Soma is about to face. Hanabi, content and smiling, waves farewell before turning to leave, carrying Karaya gently in her arms. Soma doesn't care. He just smirks and goes back to training with Chiaki and Fumi. Eventually, the big day is almost here. The trio finishes their final training session as the sun sets. Chiaki, feeling optimistic, shares how proud he is of their progress. Soma thanks him, but wishes they had more time to train. Chiaki is so touched by Soma's dedication that he bursts into tears, crying for a solid 30 minutes. When he finally calms down, he thanks Soma for his hard work and friendship. For the first time, Soma feels what it's like to have real friends. After Chiaki leaves, it's just Soma and Fumi walking home together. During their walk, Fumi opens up, saying she admires Soma for being so kind and thoughtful. When Soma asks why she thinks that, Fumi gets excited and starts rambling, getting a little too close to him in the process. They both stop, blushing at the awkward moment. Fumi pulls back and repeats how nice she thinks Soma is. For Soma, this is a new experience. No one has ever appreciated him like this before. He feels genuinely touched, though, let's be clear, it's an emotional moment. After saying their goodbyes and wishing each other luck for sports day, they go their separate ways. That night, Soma lies in bed, unable to sleep. His mind keeps replaying Fumi's words about how kind and wonderful he is. Is this what it feels like to be a Giga Chad? Whatever it is, it's clearly making an impact on him. As he wrestles with his thoughts, let's just say he's busy figuring things out. What do you guys think he was wrestling with? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for Chapter 5. If you want to see the Sports Day showdown, make sure to like the video and drop a comment. Part 2 is coming soon, so stay tuned. Love you all, and see you next time. Bye.